MLB
Because
free agency. Hot stove. This is we call it hot stove. This is Sam's thing right
the
now. Hey,
stove's getting hot. Because the
it's getting
stove's
hot in
getting
the
hot
free
right now.
agency. It's getting hot. Look,
Hmm.
Sam Strash, everybody, take it over, my boy. Let's talk a little bit MLB.
So, in lieu of Devin Williams signing a grossly overpaid contract last night with the New York Mets, I've wanted to do this for a couple weeks now because the winter meetings are coming up. The GM meetings just wrapped up a couple weeks ago, and we got to make some predictions here. We got to make some calls because especially next week is where things really start to heat up. A lot of trades and a lot of contracts get worked out next week and then slowly get processed as the weeks go by. But next week is where a lot of the stuff gets done. I'm not sure where the winter meetings are this year. I can look that up here in a second, but the winter meetings are getting close. We've each got a team that we're choosing with. We're making 3 moves today each. And I've got 2 teams just in case we have time. But here's the moves. You're going to call a lock. You're going to call a player to your team of choice that you think is a guarantee. Like this fills a position of need. It makes sense budget wise. It's a match made in heaven. It's a lock. Then you're going to make a possibility or a probable, really, it's a probable call that this move makes sense. Maybe it's a little bit out of the budgetary constraints of your team, unless you have like the Yankees or the Mets. Like Chris is going to be taking the Mets, but maybe it's a little outside of the budget. Maybe it's a little bit of wishful thinking, but it's a probably. Like it makes sense if it happens. Like the fans would not be upset. And then you're going to make a dream call. You're going to make a call that would be like the perfect signing. Like it might not happen. It probably won't happen, but you're going to make the dream signing. Okay. Like this is in an ideal world what your team would do. So, Chris, let's start with you. You have the New York Mets. Give us your 3, your lock, your probable, and your dream.
Okay. So for lock, I think Edwin Diaz comes back. I
Oh,
think
okay.
even with Devin Williams signing last night, I don't see him as much in the closer role this year. I think Edwin Diaz comes back and fills that spot back up. Devin Williams is their setup guy. I think he's a lot better in the setup role. There's less pressure on him to perform. We've seen before that when the lights get the brightest, he struggles. Like in New York, he faced a lot of criticism last year. And in Milwaukee, when they needed him most in game 3, he gave up a 3-run dong to Pete Alonso, and we lost.
To lose the
So,
game. To lose the game.
yes, to lose the game and their season. So I think he fits better in the setup role. Now, the details of that contract, getting paid handsomely by the Mets we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see how that works. But I think Diaz comes back. I think for a wish, I'll go with Freddie Peralta, specifically because it's a Milwaukee connection. David Stern seems to like his Milwaukee guys. And I mean, that's just kind of like the Brewers could be looking to shed payroll, especially after Brandon Woodruff opted in. Plus, they're paying his buyout. That's $30 million that are going to go down the drain. I saw a report that Milwaukee might be trying to shed payroll again this offseason, which I don't agree with, obviously, as a Brewers fan. But if that's what they're going to do, that's what they're going to do. And then I didn't really think too much about a dream for them, but I could see a couple different ways they go about things. I could see Mackenzie Gore or Joe Ryan. Joe Ryan hasn't been moved yet, has he?
No.
No, he's not. He's still a Twin.
I could see Joe Ryan being a dream for this team because
I
it's
wanted
pretty
to
clear
get
that they need starting pitching.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Ryan is a guy who's on a team who's clearly not trying to win now. They're trying to rebuild for the future. Or Mackenzie Gore, who's kind of in the same situation. Mets need starting pitching. They have some intriguing young guys, but I just don't know if they're 100% ready yet to field as a top tier contender. But I could see either one of those guys, or I'm not really sure how this would work, but Cody Bellinger potentially, just to be a little bit different. I don't know if he's going to go back to the Yankees or not, or go back to the Dodgers even, but I could see that as a dream for them too. It adds another power bat to their lineup. The back end of their lineup was a little bit underwhelming last year. They traded for Marcus Semien, who's kind of a give it a shot, see if it works type thing. They got rid of Brandon Nimmo, so we'll see. But
And
I
that
could see
opens
Cody
the door.
Bellinger going there too.
And that opens the door for Cody Bellinger. So I like that you took a little bit more of a trade out because that gives all of us some extra options as well. So I'll do my Milwaukee predictions here, right? We'll go to me, then Nazir, Jalen, you got the Cubs, and if there's still time, I'll take the Sox at the end just for geotag purposes. So obviously, my lock prior to Brandon Woodruff taking the qualifying offer would have been Brandon Woodruff coming back to Milwaukee. However, I think a lock that Milwaukee is going to take advantage of, especially considering that they really just need an extra bullpen arm. Like, that's really all they could use. And it's going to be a reunion with Brent Suter. I think that's a lock. Brent Suter's coming off an okay year with the Reds. Nothing special. He was in a pretty low leverage role with them, 48 games on the mound, 4.5 ERA, a whip at 1.3, which is a little high, but Great American Ballpark is definitely a hitter's park. I could see a 1-year deal coming back to Milwaukee, especially for a team that doesn't have a ton of left-handed pitching, especially in the bullpen. They're also losing Jose Quintana and Jordan Montgomery as a free agent. I doubt they bring him back. They have Jared Koenig as their lefty right now. DL Hall, who knows about him with his health, and he might be in the rotation. So that's my lock is Brent Suter coming back to the Brewers. My possibility, my probable, it's a tough one. This is a tough call because the Brewers don't do a lot in free agency. And when they do things, it's not what anyone expects them to do, right? They have a big outfield problem. And I think the probable here is not adding someone, it's trading someone away. And I'm going to go with Garrett Mitchell here. I think they move on from Garrett Mitchell. And this is going to tie into my White Sox team predictions because that is one of mine for the White Sox is Garrett Mitchell. So we'll get to there when we get there. But I think they move on from Garrett Mitchell. He can't stay healthy. There's an outfield log jam. It's time to move on. It's time to cut your losses. I wish him the best, but I'd personally drive him to the airport myself. Right? It's time to move on. No disrespect to Garrett Mitchell, of course. And my dream scenario for the Brewers, my dream free agent signing, and I've been saying it all offseason since free agency started 5 days after the World Series ended, was Bo Bichette. That's my dream for them. The Joey Ortiz experiment is a failure. It really is.
They're not going to give up on it, though, I don't think.
They're never – no, because his glove is so good. His defense is so amazing. Make him a utility guy. Make him a super utility guy. If you still believe in him, move him around everywhere. Let him play 8 of the 9 positions on the field, or really 7 of the 9 because I doubt he can catch. But let him play 7 of the 9 positions on the field as your utility guy. And then that doesn't open the roster for Andrew Monasterio anymore, but that's whatever. Bo Bichette's bat is what this lineup needs. It's exactly what the lineup needs. They can't keep going with a guy hitting 230 with 6 home runs at shortstop. I don't care how good the glove is. You need to add some pop to the lineup. The dream is Bo Bichette. The Philadelphia Phillies you had, right?
Yeah, man. So I was looking at the roster, man. If anyone, doesn't know, I love the Phillies for some reason. I think their atmosphere, their team is always, their dynamic is just very good. Even though they can't get past the hump, I just love their team. But I'm a Brewers fan at heart, even though I shouldn't love the Phillies. I kind of do. But I was looking at the team, and I think they need like an outfielder or something like that. So I kind of went into that, realm. I think the dream, I'm gonna start off with that one. I think the dream is to get like a Ryan O'Hearn or something like that. I think he made his first All-Star team.
Is he not a first baseman, or am I tripping?
He does both.
He's first baseman. He does both. So he that's the thing. If you sign Ryan O'Hearn, you get like a 3-in-1. Okay, you get first base. I think he plays outfield, of course, and then I think he also plays a little bit of DH. So I was thinking of that, and I'm like, well, if you sign him, you kind of 3 birds, 1 stone kind of thing. And I think their top target remains Kyle Schwarber or something like that. But another one, I just think I was also looking at this. Piqued my interest when I was looking online. But Rob Refsnyder is also an outfielder, pretty good one. That I think he can play all 3 outfield positions. So that would be a really good one. It would complement the other outfielders. I think Marsh is back there, especially if what's his name? Who decides to leave? What's his name? Bader. I think
Oh yeah, Harrison Bader. He's a free agent.
Harrison Bader, I think, should come back.
I think he should come back. That's another.
They should target him
because
he had a great second half with them.
Yeah, I think Bader should come back. What's his name? Fucking Refsnyder should come.
Refsnyder, yeah.
Yeah, I think the dream is Ryan O'Hearn, but I think they should re-sign Harrison Bader just because of the second half of the season he had. Obviously, like Chris said, Ryan O'Hearn is the dream, though. I think that's I think what team was he on? The Nationals or something? No, he's on what team was he on?
He got traded from the Orioles to the Padres.
No, Ryan O'Hearn.
You're talking about Refsnyder or O'Hearn?
I'm talking about O'Hearn.
O'Hearn. Yeah, coming from the Padres.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, the Padres are also really good this year, and he was really good for them. So I think O'Hearn should be a great target in the dark for them
So
if
the
they.
dream is O'Hearn, you're saying?
Yeah, I think that'd be a good
Okay.
dream to have. Yeah.
What's your lock? Who are the
Oh,
Phillies guaranteed getting here?
I think they're getting Schwarber, Kyle Schwarber. I think that's their top target right now is what I've been seeing around online. I think that's a lock, but yeah.
I think JT Realmuto could be their lock, and I think Schwarber could be headed elsewhere. They just have so much money already tangled up in other players. I could see him going to to segue into it, I could see him going to Chicago, back to the Cubs, because they have some money to spend.
They need to spend some money. Clearly. Getting beat by little brother and stuff every year now, but different conversation for a different day.
Got anyone else like a probable for them, or is that the Rob Refsnyder?
That was Refsnyder. I think that's a probable. I think that's the probable. The lock is I think they're gonna get Schwarber, and then O'Hearn is the dream.
I like what's going on there. I like what you got. Jalen, the Cubs. Give me a lock, give me a probable, and give me your dream scenario, your dream free agent. You got three of them.
I would go probably a lock would probably be I want to say Ranger Suarez. They've been really in contact with him. I've heard a lot, and a lot of people on MLB Network saying that's a lock or that might be the best option. But I really want Michael King.
I like that.
He got swing and miss stuff. We don't have anybody that really can have that has swing and miss. We have a lot of guys that put stuff in the middle in the field of play. Like I wanted Dylan Cease. I said Dylan Cease was the perfect fit, right? Swing and miss, came up in the Cubs org, but he never actually put the uniform on. So I thought he was probably the best option they could get. I would say my dream, there's two dreams really. I would say either Alex Bregman or Kyle Schwarber, right? Alex Bregman brings that superstar power. He brings power. He's a superstar. Plays really good Gold Glove defense, and Matt Shaw's just not there yet offensively. He's just not there yet offensively. And what Kyle Schwarber could bring would just 50 home runs, maybe 60 at Wrigley, right? Because he already knows Wrigley. He knows fans. He knows the organization he won here, and what a better reunion to be with. Coming off of an MVP season and possibly playing like that in Chicago, giving them the boost that they didn't have with Kyle Tucker at the end of the season, right? You see how good they look with a healthy superstar in their lineup that has pop. We all see that. They were like number 2 in the NL, number 2 in baseball. But the minute Kyle Tucker dropped off, they instantly went downhill, and PCA wasn't protected from Kyle Tucker, because he was getting grounding out a lot, and they could just throw the PCA, and that was about it. But I would say my dream would definitely be Kyle Tucker or Alex Bregman.
All right, because we have time, I'm going to do one more just for geotag purposes. The Chicago White Sox. Now, the White Sox, actually, dude, they went from 41 and 121 to 60 and 102. That doesn't sound great because it's not great, but that is a 19-win improvement over 2 seasons, and the young core is starting to come around. All right, they have 3 solid starting options in Davis Martin, Sean Burke, Shane Smith. Drew Thorpe had his struggles. Kai Busch is projected to be in the rotation this year, but he hasn't pitched since 2024, so who knows what he's going to look like. And that's pertaining to my lock. And I think the lock is that they need an extra arm in the rotation because Noah Schultz and Hagen Smith aren't quite ready yet. They think Tanner McDougal is ready, but I could see him a little more out of the pen this year compared to this guy. I think Griffin Canning is who the White Sox are going to target. I think they're going to lock him up, maybe on a 1 year with an option, like a big mutual option attached to it, especially if he performs well. He was solid last year with the Mets. He only pitched in 16 games because of injuries, but 70 strikeouts in 76 innings, not too shabby. That's a little over his career average. 3.77 ERA. The WHIP was kind of high, but he did have a 1 WAR season for only 16 starts. That's pretty solid, and he's only projected about $4 to $5 million. I could see the White Sox 100% getting Griffin Canning just on a 1, maybe 2-year deal, and the second year's an option. Like I said, Noah Schultz just not ready yet. Hagen Smith not ready yet. Noah Schultz really struggled at AAA last year, and Hagen Smith hasn't even seen AAA quite yet. But they're 3 starters in Martin, Burke, and Smith. Add on Griffin Canning and Tanner McDougal, or Griffin Canning and Drew Thorpe, or Tanner McDougal and Drew Thorpe. I think they're going to be solid in the rotation if they can bring in Griffin Canning. The probable I have for them is trading for Garrett Mitchell. And that's the probable for them, simply because Luis Robert is going to be out the door at some point. Brooks Baldwin is meh. Andrew Benintendi is and then they don't really have any outfield depth. Braden Montgomery's coming up. He's going to look pretty nice. But Garrett Mitchell, when he's healthy, you don't just pass out Mike Trout comps to anybody. And that's exactly what Garrett Mitchell was getting out of the draft when he was picked by the Brewers in 2020. And if my memory serves, he is still under team control through the end of the 2028-29 or through the end of the 2028 season. So they'd have an extra 3 years of Garrett Mitchell if they choose to move on from Robert or Andrew Benintendi. So I like Garrett Mitchell as the probable there, and it really depends on if the Brewers are comfortable trading him, which I think they will be. The dream scenario for the White Sox, they need a big bopper in that lineup. Obviously, Andrew Vaughn was very bad for them, but when he got moved to Milwaukee, he turned into one of the best hitters in baseball for a little bit. They have 2 solid catchers in Kyle Teal and Edgar Caro, that one of them could play DH and the other could catch, but you're not going to play those guys every single day each. Plus, they're just not the greatest of hitters quite yet, especially in the power department. Their first base position is really rough, right? Lennon Sosa is currently listed as their first baseman right now, and Miguel Vargas is his backup and as the starting third baseman. They don't have a true corner infielder yet. Miguel Vargas came up as a second baseman. Lennon Sosa came up as a middle infielder. They need corner infield help, or at bare minimum, a DH, and a DH that can hit with potential 20 to 30, even 40 home runs. Obviously, the big super duper dream is Kyle Schwarber. Like we talked about him coming back to Chicago. Maybe he goes back to the South Side, though, instead of going to Wrigleyville. I don't think that happens, though. So I'm not going to say that's my dream. What I am going to say is my dream is a guy who is coming off of an injury-riddled year, who had his position replaced. It's another Brewer in free agency this year. He had his option declined, and he's only due about $7 to $10 million. It's Rhys Hoskins. And I think if Rhys Hoskins wants to turn around his career, go to a place with no pressure. Go to a place that you're not going to feel like you have to be the biggest hitter in the lineup. Go somewhere that you know you're not making the playoffs. Want to turn things around and provide for a fan base that's struggling. Rhys Hoskins with the White Sox on a 2 to 3 year deal, and I think that second or third year is an option, is just the right pick for Rhys Hoskins. And I think the White Sox should jump on that. That's my dream for them. I don't think the White Sox are going to spend a lot of money. They've already said that they want to just build around their young core. They want them to develop. They have a pretty good farm system, but they still don't have any corner infielders in their top 30. So I've got Rhys Hoskins as my dream scenario for the Chicago White Sox.
Rhys Hoskins. That's a good. I like that.
I mean, he's good for the. He's a good vibes guy too. And if you're gonna be a young up and coming team, getting a vibes guy is always good.
You need a vet. You need a vet that's gonna lead that clubhouse. And at the moment, they don't have that. They have Andrew Benintendi as their lead vet, and he is not that good at baseball anymore. Let's just be for real. Luis Robert is out of there. So I think if they were to bring in Griffin Canning and Garrett Mitchell and Rhys Hoskins, the White Sox are probably going to improve by another 10 to 15 wins. And once that core comes up, Braden Colson Montgomery, Chase Meidroth, if he can develop a little bit, and they're going to be pretty good. I think the bullpen is another area they need some work in, though, too. But Jairo Iriarte looks to be their closer of the future as of right now. Maybe they could add a closer as well. Those are just the guys I think they'll bring in. But, yeah, that's our free agent hot stove section here. Appreciate you guys joining along for this. We don't get to talk a lot of baseball a lot, but this is a top 1 segment of all time.
Yeah, that's a fun one. I think we should do more of that in the future.